This morning in our Sunday Spotlight, a man who once played tuba in the UConn band as a student has now returned to campus as the leader of athletic bands. We're happy to have Justin McManus join us this morning. Justin, thanks for being with us. I was doing some research on this role. It's a big job. Tell me all the stuff you're in charge of over there.
Well, thanks so much, Eric. It's great to be home. It's a homecoming of sorts. And there's so many pieces. I think sometimes people compare this job to almost being a CEO of a small company in the sense of there's so many moving logistical parts, instructional parts, and that role as an educator, and then also engaging with stakeholders at the university level. So it's a lot of going between the macro and the micro. For instance, planning out the choreography, the shapes and the formations the band makes, the music selections, engaging with university partners on big events, interacting with students on an individual basis. Obviously, you see at the games this big mass of students forming these shapes in the field, but that's also 317 individual students with 317 sets of needs, and in terms of advising, mentoring, and just kind of navigating the university process. There's the budgeting, there's the administration, the transportation. Obviously, with Rensselaer Field being in East Hartford, there's just the logistics of getting our folks from stores to East Hartford and back, and all the other things we do. So it really is a kind of running a small company, but a small company that is doing a lot of great work both for the university and also the state of Connecticut.
You mentioned this being a homecoming. You're a Torrington native. You did play the tuba in the band. You're a UConn grad. I saw 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree from UConn. So you spent a little bit of time on campus. You got your doctorate at BU. It is a full circle moment. But in reading about you, I thought there was a great anecdote that was in one of the articles I read about an earlier full circle moment before you came back to UConn. A lot of UConn fans will remember the trip in 2009 to Notre Dame, one of the biggest David versus Goliath wins in program history. Tell us that story, because that was the first full circle moment of your career.
Absolutely. In 2009, I was a senior here at UConn, and I was a student manager, and the managers are involved in those logistical aspects, as we were talking about, filling up the water coolers, moving the ladders, all those kind of operational components. And so we went out to Notre Dame Stadium. As you mentioned, it was the David and Goliath moment. That year, of course, folks might remember the Jasper Howard kind of tribute at that year. And so it was a big moment for the university and for the Huskies. We went out there. I was filling up some water coolers in the sidelines at Notre Dame Stadium. We all took that moment in, taking photos with each other. Unbeknownst to me, I left a cooler behind. And then 4 years later, I returned to Notre Dame, this time in a faculty and staff role as assistant band director. And the operations director there came up to me, and I'd forgotten about this, but held up a cooler. And I thought, how did the cooler end up at Notre Dame? And then I remembered I left the cooler there years ago and said, I think you left this here. And so it was one of those things that clicked and said, this was meant to be. I really came full circle. And I think it's coming full circle again, coming back to UConn. So a lot of those kind of moments where things just clicked.
And you had an opportunity to maybe go back to Notre Dame in a bigger role, but you chose to come back here to UConn. And what is it about this school and this state and this band that drew you back into this job?
Yeah, I think I was away, obviously, in Indiana for 9 years. I was in Washington, D.C. for 1 year. And as great as it was to explore different parts of the country and see different programs, obviously out in Big Ten country, in the middle of the country, and then I'm back on the East Coast, there's always something tugging at the heartstrings to come back to Connecticut. It's a place that I have a personal and emotional connection to in terms of family, friendships, and also the University of Connecticut. I think it's a special place. It's a place that you don't necessarily always appreciate until you graduate sometimes and look back at the memories made, the unique place it sits in terms of the culture of the state of Connecticut, and the chance and opportunity to help lead a program that is so special to the state, obviously special to our football team, our basketball teams coming off of that men's basketball national championship, but also building the culture of the university was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And the place, our motto here is Bleed Blue. And I think all of our students and our faculty and staff, that's something that we carry with us for the rest of our life. And being away made me appreciate that all the more.
We're looking at some pictures that you were kind enough to send to us, and it's you being a leader. So what would you describe your leadership philosophy? If one of the maybe freshmen new to campus, new to the band, how would you say, what do you like, Justin?
Yeah, I'd say in terms of leadership, I really latched onto this idea of servant leadership, and that we walk with people. We walk side by side with them. We talk with them. We don't talk at them. And so students really, my philosophy has always been that students are the experts in their own lives, and that there are things that I might have a little bit more experience with. Faculty might have more knowledge in certain areas, very specific areas, but each of those 317 students, that's 317 stories. And so I think empowering our students through communication, through mentorship and access in terms of conversations that helps build a program because you allow people to be experts and good at what they're experienced with. So I think the leadership in general is that servant philosophy of walking with and talking to folks.
Just a few weeks ago, we had the mascot on, the new mascot, the new Jonathan, the incoming mascot in training. And I thought, we talking to the handlers and the trainers, they said everywhere they go on campus, people gasp to see him. But I think it must be the same, whether it's the marching band or one of the various pep bands. You guys show up and it's just, part of being a Husky fan. Do you feel that love from the fans?
Absolutely. Our fan engagement is outstanding. And I think it's something you see both here at home in Connecticut, whether it's at the Rent, whether it's at the Excel Center or here at Gamble, any one of our other Olympic sports or our exhibitions, kind of our high school engagement and community outreach. Whenever we interact with someone, I told this to our students the other day, regardless of where you go, when you're in that uniform, someone in the audience is seeing you for the first time and someone might be seeing you for the last time. And so carry that with you, that burden and that responsibility is on you to perform at 100% because you never know who's in that audience. And our audience members and our crowds have just been phenomenal in their support, their engagement. We like hyping them up. They love hyping us up. So it's really a two-way street and it's a lot of fun.
I just have about 30 seconds left. I want to just finish with this. Whether they're out watching one of these carefully choreographed marching band shows or just hearing the fight song at the XL Center, say, what do you want the fans to take away from these performances you're putting so much and the students are putting so much work into?
I'd love for them to take away the culmination of so much hard work. I think in this day and age with social media and just the fast-paced nature of life, it's so easy for us to get wrapped up in the moment, and the attention spans have kind of dropped a little bit, myself included. But I think for fans to look at this product on the field or in the stands at a basketball game and go, these students have worked their tails off for weeks and weeks and weeks. They have the patience, the resilience, the athleticism to create this product and to just be proud of them because they're proud of themselves.
Well, I know a lot of people will be out there this fall, whether it's the football games or over the winter basketball games, seeing your product, hopefully seeing some of the marching band performances as well. Justin McManus, the new director of athletic bands at UConn, thank you so much for being with us here on CT'23.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Go Huskies.
There you go. Go Huskies. That is CT'23 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning is coming up next. Have a great rest of this long weekend. We'll, of course, meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.